Hey guys, so I am finally back doing, what is that little girl looking at me? So I am finally back doing the Evil Dead Remake review 2013, Evil Dead, let's go. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. This has been really requested for me to do. I'm finally doing it and then we can move on with other things. So this is the remake of the original Evil Dead, which came out in the 80s, and that one was kind of known to be a little bit more campy and cheesy. At least by today's standards, it was considered cheesy, and I actually had only seen that like a week or two before I saw the remake, but I was, I had never seen it before, so thought I should at least watch it before I see the remake. Anyway, so this one is a different story. The old one was just like a bunch of teenagers that go to a cabin to hang out, but this one they redid into a story of a girl who's overcoming a drug addiction, and so her friends and her go to this cabin in the woods to help her overcome it, to get her away from the drugs and to help support her. And then they say that we're not leaving, and that's how they stay. Because they always have to have something that makes them not leave, because if things started to go down, you'd want to leave, but they're like, no, we're staying, we're sticking through this, she's gonna get over her drug addiction. Now, of course, just in short, they find this book of evil in the basement, and the dumbass decides to read the words that say not to be read. We all know how that goes. There's always got to be someone stupid in a horror movie to make things happen. That's the struggle, I think, with remakes is back in the day they could get away with it, but nowadays it's not as realistic, but they made it pretty believable in this one, I'd say. This one wasn't as cheesy or campy. They didn't go that direction. They instead went the more Hollywood horror, is what I like to call it, and more of the typical type of horror movies that are being done today. So this one was extremely gory, and I know some people were complaining about the tree rape scene or whatever not being the same. It's true, it wasn't the same. I actually didn't like that scene in either one. I'm not the biggest fan of Evil Dead, to be honest, as a storyline. I don't really get it. Are they zombies? Are they demons? I don't know. Are they just evil? Who knows? But it's contagious, so it's like a zombie demon. So it was really, really gory. Some parts were so unbearable to watch. It was insane. In the book it shows like different ways they're killing themselves or mutilating themselves. One of them's boiling water, so you see like her skin fall off and just like boil. It was gross. And then the one saws her face off with some glass, and then saw an arm off, so with like a little turkey cutter, little electric knife thing, just saws it off. Right on. Things like that were actually pretty awesome. The gore factor was awesome. I actually really liked that. It was really unbearable, and sometimes that's not okay. But in this context, I think the gore was decent. I think it was okay. It was acceptable. Sometimes people rely on it too much, and that I'll get into in a second. So I'm just going to go on with the ratings. Acting, I gave it a 10. I really love the actors chosen, except two of the friends. Not a fan of their actually a lot of the friends. The one who plays the main girl, the drug addict, she was awesome. I really liked her acting, and her brother was awesome. Other than that, I wasn't a fan of the other actors, but it was all believable. I believed it. The acting was good. I gave it a 10. I'm being generous today. The plot was a 9. It stayed pretty true. Some of the things in it were typical Evil Dead things, like the basement and things like that. They stayed true to the original in that sense, so a lot of it was like in dedication to the original, and that was cool. I know I talk a lot with my hands. People always say that. Scare factor, I gave it an 8 because it wasn't, the scariness came from, there's a spider on my wall. Hold on a second. Well, it fell off the wall, now it's like down over there. It'll come back. It'll come back. As I was saying, scare factor was an 8 because they did rely on the gore a little bit. That's what made it scary, were the disturbingness of the things that were going on, like someone sawing their own face off, or cutting their tongue with a box cutter, sawing an arm off, things like that they're really disturbing, so that's where the scare factor came from. It wasn't so much suspense, jumpiness. Sometimes it was a bit jumpy, but predictable jumpy, because we all know when someone pretends to be dead on the ground and you get really close, they're gonna jump out at you. Like, we know that, so that's not really suspenseful in my opinion, because it's just been done. Characters, I gave it an 8. I liked the story. It was pretty believable, kind of, you know, with the girl who's trying to get over the drug addiction, but the fact that they won't leave. I mean, they do try to leave eventually in the truck, and I don't know what happens. She like crashes into a river, lake, whatever. They do try to leave, but I felt like it was kind of reaching for a story that would make them want to stay in the cabin, to give them purpose. They were kind of reaching for purpose. Maybe it's true, you know, that kind of thing could be true. I just never heard of a story like that, so it wasn't like relatable or realistic in my opinion, but I was still generous enough to give it an 8. Okay, now the effects. I said a 10 out of 10 because the effects were awesome. I loved the makeup of when they were evil, or I don't know, whatever they were, zombies. I love the makeup and the effects in that sense, and also when they were mutilating themselves and things, that was really cool, and it looked so real, so I really liked the effects. However, I hated the effects of the tree scene. I'm just not a fan of the tree scene. Like, I don't get it. Like, why is the tree, like, raping her, and, like, what is it? It's putting the evil inside her. It's a tree. I just can't wrap my head around it. And I know it's like one of the original classic type horror movies from the 80s, but that's no excuse. I don't get it. Maybe I'm just out of the loop. Maybe one of you can explain it to me. But yeah, the tree thing, I'm just not a fan of the tree thing. But regardless, I mean, it was the effects of the tree scene of this one were definitely better than the 80s version. Just, I mean, given the time span of today's effects versus then, I get it. But I did like the effects in this one more. I'm just a little bit biased. I don't know. I do prefer the 2013 remake to the original. It was more scary. It was, I mean, the original had its creepy moments for sure, but it wasn't as scary, gory, whatever, as the new one. Moving on to the overall rating, it got a 9, so that's pretty good. I think a 9 is pretty good. I definitely recommend watching it if you haven't seen it yet. It's not in theaters anymore. Maybe you can find somewhere to watch it, if you know what I mean. Or you can wait for it to come out on DVD, which should be soon, because it came out, actually, yeah, like 2 months ago it came out. So, I mean, yeah. But I do recommend watching it when it comes out. I'll have the trailer listed down below in case you haven't seen it. Seen the trailer or heard about it. I don't know where you've been, but please leave movie requests down below, future ones you want me to review. I have a few in mind that I want to watch and review those. I'll probably do those first, and then I'll get to your requests. So go ahead and leave them down below, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.